good morning, and good night. Thanks again for downloading the Body Snatchers podcast. And when you listen, stream, or download straight to your device, CastBox is your best option. If you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So let's get started. Enjoy the show.
All right, guys, good morning, good night. Thank you for choosing the Body Snatchers podcast. Man, finally got to see It Chapter 2. Pretty excited about that. That's what we're going to be discussing today. If you guys are new, make sure you head over to bodysnatchersmedia.com, subscribe to the podcast. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the fun stuff. Today, I'm joined by G. Willikers J.
Wow, haven't heard that in a while. What's going on?
That's a lie. You're lying.
I am. I wasn't ready for it. Now, that was not a lie.
You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me. I also wanted to let everybody know, last show I did say that we were going to be moving forward with the patron prizes. If you'd like to become a patron member, it's anywhere from $1 to $25 or more if you want to, but $1 is all you need to enter. And basically, we're going to be giving away prizes monthly. This is something that we have been doing ongoing, but we're just going to start announcing it again, start sharing it again, letting you guys know who the winners are. And in fact, this month's winner, drum roll please, Jay.
It is Mr. Simon Huereña. I'm sure I butchered that last name. I apologize. Ooh. But that don't mean I love you. That doesn't mean I don't love you. That's my bad.
Oh my God. If that last name was for a woman, I'm putting a baby in the oven. I love that. Immediately. Right. No questions asked.
No questions?
Nope. She can be 80.
He was like, hey, but you need this.
I don't know if it will work at 80. It'll be like, I'll try. And I'll be like, there was an attempt. And the star just falls to the ground.
No, she's like, what's your last name? Just tell me your last name one more time. You're like, oh, we're good.
Nah, don't whisper that to me again. I'd self-implode. So anyways, we had a discussion when It Chapter 1 came out. And keep in mind, this is a remake from the TV special that came out in, what was that, 89?
Yeah, man. That was a good year. Good year.
That was a long, long time ago. That's the year I was birthed.
Look, me too. Look, twinsies.
But you know what? It was one of my favorite childhood scary movies. It terrified me, but I loved it. And then, eventually I went on to read the majority of the book. There's a couple spots that as a kid, I know that I skipped over. I'm just being honest. I know I was kind of let's skip 30 pages. And I know that's terrible, but that was for, as a kid, that was one hell of a book, man. There was just so much in there. But again, that made me appreciate it that much more. And of course, this is a time frame when you didn't have a lot of books to movies that were super popular. I mean, not to say there wasn't a lot of them, but it's nothing like how it is today, where every time there's a book, we need a movie now.
Right. Rush it.
Right. So, I think that everything that was in this was done really well. And I feel like Chapter 2 lived up to the Chapter 1 remake that they just did. Why don't you kind of kick things off with some of your thoughts and feelings, Jay?
So it definitely was a strong follow-up to start off. It was definitely a strong follow-up for the first one. I didn't know if it was going to give as much back and forth. You see them as kids and adults. And they did do a lot of bouncing back and forth. And I felt like that was done really well. But it was nice. It was some things that were kind of cliche, I get it though. It's the scary movies. It's it's the junkie parents or the gay guys got to get beat up on. I get it, but it's a little cliche heavy at parts. But overall, I loved it. I was there. I was surprised at how long it was when I first saw the runtime. I was like, whew, let's hunker down for this one. You know what I mean? Everything want to be in game.
Well, you know what? That bothered a lot of people, but that's how the original was. The original movie was insanely long, and it kind of needed to be long in order to do the book any type of justice, because the book is really long. And even with the length of it, there's still so much material that wasn't covered in either movie, to be honest.
Yeah. And I mean, and like you said, it was necessary for it to be long, and it didn't feel that long while I was watching it. It was never a point where I was like, I'm really not enjoying this. I wish they would wrap it up. It was just, just shocking at first. I was just like, ooh, man, I just wasn't expecting it. But no, once I was along for the ride, I was there. I loved it.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. And my comment isn't even directed like directly at you. It's just we got a lot of comments back like on my Tino Plus Ultra page, as well as the Twitter page, where people were just saying like, oh man, no, I think it was too long. And I just wanted to bring to the forefront, hey, it kind of has to be, because the other side of this is the people who are really big fans of the book and the original movie that like actually watched it a bunch of times, not just heard about it and are kind of being posers about it. They would be like, what the hell? Like, why is this so short? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. And then, like you said, because it would be so much that they would be missing. And it was kind of cool, the stuff that they kind of referred to and kind of had little, and that one cameo, legendary. I was just like, ooh, they man, it was good. This was good.
Well, they did. And, and I think that we need to talk about that. So, all right, guys, it's that point of the show where we're finally going to begin talking. So as we talk, I want you guys to know that there will be spoilers. And if spoilers is not your thing, I will not be offended. Jay will not be offended. Gia, God bless her soul, wherever she's at in the universe, she won't be offended. It's okay. You can step away and you can come back after you see the movie. This is your warning. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay? All right. We cool? Did
they leave?
Is it safe now? Okay. So, all right. James's job, James McAvoy, his role, his lead in this movie was flawless. For those of you who don't know who James is, I'm referencing the guy who played Professor X when they went Back to the Future, Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
So yeah, my brain collapsed with two dope movies. So yeah, X-Men, that guy, Professor X, bald man. Yeah, a guy in the wheelchair. He did an amazing job. He was in Glass. He was absolutely amazing in Glass. He played all those different personalities rolled up into one. Patricia, come on, man.
Right. You say you can't go wrong with Patricia.
No, you can't. And I actually feel really bad for James because I don't think he gets the kind of credit that he should. Kind of like how Leonardo DiCaprio didn't get a lot for years, where he would just make like one insanely good movie after another and people would just kind of take that for granted, like he wasn't getting the awards that he deserved and all that sort of stuff. And I feel that way with James. And James, I mean, I was so happy as soon as I saw him. I was like, yes, that's who's playing Bill. They couldn't have picked a better person, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you knew it was going to be solid. Because like you said, he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. Cause,
he doesn't make bad movies.
Yeah, like I can't think of anything that I've watched him in that was like, meh. Like he, even if the overall movie I wasn't a fan of him, he did his thing every rip.
Oh, absolutely. And also Bill Skarsgård, playing it, coming back around for part 2, it was just a phenomenal performance. I mean, it's really, really hard, to live up to the GOAT. I get that.
But yeah, no, I saw it and I was like, this is it. My head is big enough. I'm going to go as Pennywise for Halloween. Like I've decided it already.
Oh, so yeah.
I got to talk to Gia. I got to see if she could hook something up for me, but yeah.
That is true. Yeah. You guys definitely have the same head shape for sure. So some might say you're just a black Bill Skarsgård, and that's totally fine. A lot of people didn't like his Pennywise, and that's weird to me. It's like, going back to the GOAT, Tim Curry. Tim Curry did such an amazing job. Like, I have nothing against what Tim Curry did. I mean, he's one of my all-time favorite actors, and he did this in a time when, the assistance of CGI just wasn't really a thing, like he had to do this thing by the book, and he killed it. But I think that Bill Skarsgård, in respect to Tim Curry, did a phenomenal job. It was on par, if not better, in its own right. Because Tim Curry's role, this was always meant to be like a TV film that ended up being much, much better. Nobody really thinks of it that way, but that's how it was released, for cable television. And this definitely had, the full force of the studio production, like their money and everything behind it. And it shows, I think. Anything you want to add, Jay?
Well, yeah, no, the first one was a pretty big success, and this one, I know they were saying that it already like broke over 90 million for opening weekend, and the weekend isn't even up yet, so it's like, is I don't know, like you said, I don't know what they would want from the new iteration of it, or of Pennywise, I should say. But I know I think dude did a wonderful job. Like I said, that was my new hero. Like I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, I'm here.
Oh, for sure. And really, like, it was like the supporting cast members too. Like Bill Hader's that's the kid who grew up to be a comedian, just, for everybody's reference, so they know who I'm talking about. Bill Hader's character was so on point. It had me in tears the entire time. When he gets to like there's a certain area in the movie where they go back to like the haunted house or whatever, and he well, I guess it's a haunted house, whatever. He goes back and like scares his whatever, the losers club, his teammates. He runs into a corner and starts talking like Pennywise, and they look and they think it is, and he jumps out. And this, he starts doing the dance. And he's like, remember Pennywise used to do that shit all the time? He starts doing the dance, and I was dying. Like the whole theater was in tears. That might be my favorite moment of the entire movie.
Yeah, because you know what, he definitely stole the show when he would come in and say certain lines. He was definitely a great foil character to how terrible everything was going. But he definitely lightened up the tone when things were too heavy for too long. You know what I mean? Like that was, yeah, not him between. It was definitely those two were the highlights. But I feel like everybody in the cast really did a good job, though.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
everybody was strong. I'm just naming like my big three for what kept me locked in and engaged with this movie. It was those three. Like no questions asked. There's nobody else came close to it for me.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. I can see that. But what about Ben, man? He got fit. I thought you would relate to that,
Wow. Of course I like Ben. I didn't have issues with anybody in there, but I mean his character to me in comparison to the rest. So this isn't like a direct critique of him. But in comparison to the rest, he was kind of a boring character. Like they needed him for balance.
Mm-hmm.
But
he just fell a little flat. I understand that. I can see that.
Yeah, so I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying if I got to put the two side by side, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Now, here's some stuff that I kind of want to get into. It might be new information for some people. It may not for others. I don't know about Jay. Jay, did you ever read it or a portion of it or anything? No,
I never. It was too daunting. I probably could now. You know what I'm saying? Like I can go back, but coming up, I was like, oh no. That book is about as tall as me. Like I'm okay.
I'm actually surprised too with you being a writer. Jay's a writer. For those of you who don't know, that you haven't dived into it. I definitely would recommend it for sure.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's really the genre. I've never really tried too much horror or anything, too suspenseful. I don't know. I'm weird like that. But I probably will check it out because I love the movies. The movies are made for TV programming, whatever you want to call them.
Okay. Well, okay, guys. So one thing that the first movie missed and the second movie kind of missed, but I mean, like it's like they hit points on it, but they didn't, dive in as deep as I think I would have liked to. Is the backstory with Maturin, which is this like intergalactic, universally old, like space turtle, whatever you want to call it. Are you familiar with that at all, Jay?
A little bit, because I know when it first came out, when it first was rebooted, what was that, 2017, 16?
I think it was 17. It was 17.
But yeah, but I know when that first came out, like, a lot of people were digging up the lore and stuff, and I heard a lot about it through there. So that's when I first heard about the turtle and his true form being closer to like a, arachnid type deal.
Oh, with it?
Yeah.
Pennywise. So yeah, in the chapter 1 for this newest iteration, they didn't do what's called the ritual of Jude, which is basically where you have like two beings that are locked in like a battle of like willpower. So physical forms like don't even necessarily matter. And in the book, that's how the kids were able to defeat Pennywise the first time. And they get this information, for how the ritual is performed and all that kind of stuff from the turtle. Now, to give you a little bit of backstory on the turtle is this entity that exists that is, even older than it, which is, as they said in the movies and the books, is just billions of years old. The turtle sneezed and created, our universe as we know it, like the main universe. And I guess he just kind of like was like, whoops, and went back into his shell and was just chilling. It absolutely hates the turtle. He knows of his existence and just is disgusted by him. The turtle isn't really necessarily considered to be like a good guy. He's more of like a neutral force, but does assist the children, by giving them that information for the ritual. And then they, obviously move forward to defeat Pennywise. And fast forward as adults, they attempt to do the ritual again. And this time in the book, the turtle is dead. It's not that it killed the turtle, because that's probably what everybody's thinking. Because he couldn't, but what it is it tells Bill, I believe, if memory serves correct, that the turtle had ended up choking on like a galaxy or something of that nature, and just ended up dying. So this time around, the second time around, the turtle wasn't there to assist. Now, obviously, that's not the story that we got in this new movie, and it was a little bit different with Mike. Was it Mike that picked up the information from the Indians for the ritual of Jude?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so he got it. I will say that like the little backstory flashback that they did with Pennywise like appearing on Earth or whatever was really, really cool. I really love that. I wish we could have got 30 minutes of that. I just was in love with it. Or an origin story, that would be cool.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Just a little bit of some background of some origins, just like when they had the little relic and he was tripping balls, man, after he gave him that. What did he say? He's like, no, I didn't drug you. It's a root, man. It has properties.
It's properties. I'm gonna have to use that on somebody. Give him some edibles. That's properties. You good?
Yeah, you good.
I wouldn't, man, have you looked up what the definition of drug? You drugged me.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, but either way, like it was put together pretty well, I think. And I don't get mad at either studio, whether it be this newer movie or the older movie, for not going too deep with the turtle storyline, just because it's one of those things where it's such a big presence. It's really hard to bring that on screen and not kind of ruin, the base story, like, what's being presented to you. In a book, it can be mentioned lightly, but on screen, they're like, whoa, what the hell? A giant space turtle? Is he bigger than the galaxy? Or, what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that, can't really be answered that kind of come off cliche. But they did have a couple of references with the turtle in this movie. They did it in the first one lightly, and I actually missed it the first time, but the second time I made sure to pay closer attention. And there's a bunch of little glimpses where they have the turtle like just all up in the camera, for you to see that like his presence is supposed to be there. I thought that was a nice nod. I don't know if you caught those Easter eggs.
No, I definitely didn't. The only thing that I would say is an Easter egg is how they at the beginning of this one. Oh, well, no. It was the beginning of the old movies. Yeah, the beginning of the older one. And they had the one body was in the fridge. And then they kind of did that with this one. I was like, that's cool. Like, that was cool for them to throw that in there. Like, just like little stuff like that. I was like, it was funny. The memories was coming back. It was like, I just got back to Derry. And all this stuff was it was all coming back to me.
Oh yeah, and hold that thought too, because I want to come back to that. But just so I don't leave this alone before we walk away from it, the main scene where you really get a good look of a turtle is they have a flashback and they go to the classroom in the school when they were kids, and there's a slow shot where for no reason whatsoever, it's like 15 to 20 seconds of a turtle just right in your face. Like they're like, no, you cannot not see this. Like anybody who knows the backstory has to see this. And I thought that was pretty cool. And also, two more things with that. The turtle is a guardian for the Dark Tower, one of the beams that holds up the Dark Tower. So if you guys checked out that Stephen King movie with Idris Elba, the turtle is connected to that. So that's just, fun facts.
Right.
Fact, I kind of wanted to read like a really quick like bio snippet, which we don't normally do on here, but just so that people can kind of see. And this is from like its official wiki. So shall I?
You look, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. A turtle of massive size with an ancient appearance, Maturin existed long before the creation of the mainstream universe in Stephen King's novels. By nature, Maturin kind, wise, loving, gentle, compassionate, benevolent, and had a very grandfather-like demeanor when he spoke to humans. Maturin was said to be constantly withdrawn into his shell, sleeping and rarely ever coming out for anything. One of the occasions that Maturin did come out of his shell when he had a stomach ache, which caused him to vomit out the mainstream universe, after which he promptly retreated back to his shell. Because of that, it, a creature that existed in the void with the macroverse and was an adversary of Maturin, described as the latter by his brother, considered the turtle to be old, lazy, and stupid. However, given his vast amount of wisdom, power, and aid Maturin provided to those in need, this is written like so weird with commas, so I apologize. It sounds like I'm like not a good reader. It's because whoever wrote this was an idiot. But anyways, the content is still, it's still there. It still stands.
You dare question the almighty official wiki?
I do. I'm about to get in here and throw some edits. Like, yeah, the information's there, but like, what about grammatics, asshole? Anyways. Its perceptions of him seem to be false. So all they're saying is that it basically hated him and talked crap about him every time he wanted to. But basically, it was a lie. The turtle was cold.
Right. So, okay. I wonder how big of a fan Stephen King is or was of like Godzilla. Because that's just what I thought. My mind went straight to kaiju's. You talking about, being some may be, well, he was perceived as benevolent. But
no, dude, Stephen King's on some other stuff. Like, I've only touched the surface of like the Dark Tower series. It gets wild. Like, if you think it's crazy, it gets wild. And have you ever seen Dreamcatcher or read Dreamcatcher?
No, sir.
Oh my god! Yeah, just they actually make references. It ends up being another crazy alien telepathic like war thing going on. It's actually pretty interesting and kind of uncomfortably weird.
It sounds like we need to get a book club going, man. Let's do it.
Gia just started one in the Body Snatchers group. So if you participated once in a while, then you would know.
Oh, I was just about to say, where's my invite? Call me.
Yeah, she got like 5 or 6 books and is sending them out, and she's doing it old school. Like, it's gonna be really fun where people like jot their name after they've read it or whatever, and then we mail it back out.
Oh man, look, I'm in there. Count me in.
All of a sudden, he wants to participate. And in fact, once we get like a more concrete format, I think it'd be really fun to kind of maybe I'll create something on the website for people who are interested in joining, and we'll figure out some sort of qualifications for that, because we don't want to just take anybody. We want you to be dedicated, and then maybe, who knows, pick a random person to come on the podcast and just talk books with us. I would actually really love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that sounds like a plan. Look at that. You heard it here first, America. It's happening. Dreams are being made, are being birthed at this very moment.
Oh yeah, we're out here doing it. One moment that I wanted to mention that I really liked was I really loved that they brought the classic balloons back that were floating all over the town for it. And they had it a little bit in the first one, but see, it was really important in the second one, because the adults were just like, oh, it's in my head, it's not really there. And when these balloons bursted, I mean, like, bad things happened. They were just floating around the city. And there's one specific scene that I'll never forget that I thought was really funny as a kid. They're in the library, I think it was, and these red balloons are floating all over, and it gets really close to somebody's face, a couple people's faces, and I think Bill is like looking at them, and they don't see the balloons, but Bill does, and the balloons explode full of blood like all over their faces and bodies. And the way that it was done, because remember, this is before CGI and all that was there, is they're not supposed to know that the balloons had exploded with blood. And if you look really close, you can see the actors like ever so slightly like wincing, trying as hard as they can to like act casual as if nothing had just happened.
Right. Like, here, this, because how can you just fight that reaction? You can't, just fight the flinch. It's like, nah, the struggle is immortalized on this film. We caught it. But it'd be like that, But
so,
I don't know.
Why don't you let us know some of your favorite parts of this movie?
So my favorite part, the first part that I was like, this is great, was when they all first got together. They all met up when they was like, all right, we got to get back together. We're getting the gang back together. and they are out eating, and they first really have their first big like group hallucination. You know, they start seeing stuff, and then it's like, it's not real, it's not real. He started smashing the table, and then the waitress came up like, is everything okay? It was just like, y'all just started spazzing out of nowhere, and he was like, oh yeah, we'll take the check. I was like, that was just so funny to me. Like he just turned it off. Like, oh yeah, no, we're good. We're gonna go ahead and go. Like, oh, I just had to bust up y'all fine Oriental establishment. My bad. Like, I don't know. That was just hilarious to me.
I agree. I definitely agree. And James McAvoy. James McAvoy. Why didn't I just say McAvoy? Rolls right off the tongue. There we go. My brain was like, I can't seem to, it's too British for me.
Right. And he was like, oh, wait, McAvoy. And then you said it. He's like, oh, yeah, that's definitely how you
know what I think it was? Is like, you ever like stare at a word, like you say it all the time. And then when you're like looking at it, like written down, you're like, what the hell is even this?
How do you spell restaurant?
Right. With this A is capital. And why is the H silent in sandwich and spaghetti? Who the hell made this? All right. I'm done. James McAvoy. So I don't even know why I said his name. Moving to like one of my favorite scenes. So there's a point in the movie where the cast has to go back and like get their tokens, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica Chastain, who's playing Beverly Marsh, she's like, she goes back to where, things were going down in this like old beat down apartment she used to live in where her dad was, and yada, yada, yada. Everything that happens to me isn't that important. It's everything that happens afterwards when she's like gets her token and snaps back to reality. Like that situation was beyond hilarious to me and also scary as all hell. Like it was the perfect mix. So she's invited into this apartment that she used to live in by this old lady that lives there now. And obviously Pennywise is pulling the strings, with this old lady. So whether or not the old lady actually exists, I can't say. Actually, I can say she doesn't, which I think at the very end, like they kind of showed as to why she wasn't actually existing. But the scenes are so funny when once everything gets going and it shows glimpses of the old lady like in the kitchen, and all of a sudden she's like naked running back and forth. And then she's doing the Pennywise like dance, dude.
The little jig. Yeah. No, everybody lost it. Everybody lost in the theater at that part. Like what is going on?
And here's where I really have to take my hat off to them because I was so impressed with this. I hate movies that just try to make stuff jump out at you, and that's like their big thing,
Mm-hmm.
It gets old to me so fast, and I've said that 100,000 times in this podcast. But what made this moment special is, okay, they geared it up. They put it in your face, like low-hanging fruit. They're like, we're gonna have a jump moment. It's coming right now. And they built it up, and the old lady was gonna come back out, and obviously we saw her dancing and like freaking out as if Pennywise was like, changing her in some way. So what did we expect to see? I expected to see just like a demonic old lady, right?
Right.
Because she started sounding, kind of demonish or whatever. That's what we got. What I didn't expect is for her to be the freaking size of like Goro from Mortal Kombat. So like right before she comes out, you hear like 3 super loud stomps, like as if the hardwood floors are being pushed to maximum capacity, and she's moving quick. And she comes out and is like 10 feet tall, like bent over in this apartment. And it was both frightening and hilarious, and I loved it. That was probably my favorite moment in the movie right there.
Yeah, I can see it.
Second favorite moment.
Heart pounding. So what was first? What would be first then?
I said it earlier, but you weren't listening.
Oh no! Well, you just said favorite, and then you changed you weren't listening to yourself. Listen to your heart, Tino. Only then we'll know the truth.
Did I just lose the Battle of Wills? did I just lose?
But no, man, there's no losers. Well, if there were losers, they had to stick together.
They said you are losers, and you're always going to be losers.
You're right. So change of plans.
Another thing that I liked, and I mentioned this on the last podcast too, if memory serves correct, because this was for 2 years ago, I think. Eddie's character in the original movie, as a kid, he sprays his inhaler at it, and he's like, "Eat battery acid, asshole!" And like his imagination allows him to do that, because they're in the midst of the ritual, I guess. And he believed that it could hurt it, and it did. And then fast forward to the second movie, the old second movie, he did that again as an adult, and it didn't work, and like it just like stabbed him and took him out. So anybody who read the books or saw the first movie should have known that, you know, he wasn't gonna make it. But I'm kind of glad that they didn't make him go out on like a, you know, that low note like that where he holds up the inhaler, eat battery ass, where he says it again, and this time it doesn't work. I'm so happy they didn't do that, because that was my man's. I didn't want him to go out like that.
Yeah. No, it was, man, just overall, I'm just because, you know, I'm not like the hugest fan of like horror movies, but like I just feel like this was put together well enough that it was more than just that. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's a feel good movie. It make me want to go find friends from 20 years ago and be like, hey, let's go out. You know, we might die from a monster, or we might just have a good time. Let's find out. You know what I mean? Like, let's see where the night takes us.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, if I had to say, I think my favorite like character connection in this movie was probably the relationship between Richie and
Yeah, I second that. The bros.
Yeah, because they were just too dope. And then when they would go back to the flashbacks of them as children, it puts you in like a weird space, because it reminds me of like movies that I just used to love as a kid, you know, like Stand By Me and stuff like that people don't really talk about anymore, which is kind of the same vibe that you get from Stranger Things, which is why I think it's so widely accepted by everybody, because, you know, it just puts you in your feels, the Goonies, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. That is definitely reminiscent of those type of feelings, those, you know, growing pains while in the midst of all types of foolishness.
These are hard facts. So, all right. I think, you know, we pretty much touched base on all the things that need to be touched base on. You know, I don't want to sit here and do a rundown of the entire movie, but overall, I personally really enjoyed it. For, you know, nostalgic purposes, I think that the new generation is really going to enjoy it. I think that it complemented the original movie very, very well. Not everybody's going to agree with that, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm not going to be a jerk about this one, but that's just kind of where I stand on it.
Look, he said not this one. That's a surprise. But yeah, like you said, because I feel like they definitely doubled down on a lot of stuff, on a lot of things that made the first one as good as it was. And so I'm not surprised it is already as successful as it is, you know. But yeah, so I definitely would recommend it if you don't mind the 2 hours and 50-minute runtime. But it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride.
Agreed. So, all right, guys. Again, if you're new to the podcast and you enjoyed hanging out with us today, we enjoyed having you listen. So make sure you head over to bodysnatchersmedia.com. Again, we're on all different forms of social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, no longer Snapchat, because that's for cowards. There's nothing that goes on there. Yeah. I don't know what that was about. People were like, oh man, I love the body snatchers. Let's send them pictures of our male genitals. I was like, dude, I will find you and I will destroy you. They must have been looking for Gia or something, man.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
They're like, she probably handles this account. Wrong. It was John. John was up there he was getting all of it. All the sausage. It's terrible. So that's
all bad.
But yeah, head over, subscribe. Let us know what you think about, you know, this book or the movie. You know, what was your favorite moment? You know, let's talk about it. What did you love? What did you hate? Tell us. And then maybe we'll address that on next week's podcast. Call you out.
Let you know how wrong everybody is.
Nah, man, we got to give everybody their time to shine.
You're right.
I know if I called into a podcast and they were like, we were talking to Tino the other day and he said this on Facebook, I'd be like, oh, I'm a celebrity. Maybe not. Maybe not.
One of us. Like, no, now you're a loser. But it's okay, because losers got to stick together. That's the hashtag.
I was going to say losers never die, but...
All right. I was just about to say, I'm like, that's not what Eddie said.
All right. You're trailing. You lost the juice, Rock.
Look, I never lost the juice. I keep the juice on me at all times. Baby.
All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Have a good morning, good night, whatever time of day it is, wherever you're at. Be safe, have fun, take care.
Fairly well.
James McAvoy? James McAvoy. James McAvoy.
McAvoy.